Alright guys, let's pick back up before we were so rudely interrupted. So plugging in 4 into this equation is going to give you 64. 4 squared is 16. 4 times 4 is again 16, and then you have 4. 64 plus 16 plus 16 plus 4 is 100. Not 0, so that's not a root. Now for negative 4, we plug that in. Negative 4 cubed is negative 64. Negative 4 squared is 16. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, and then you have plus 4. Adding these together gives you negative 60. Again, that is not 0, so that is also not a root. Therefore, the only root, actual root that we have, actual rational root, is negative 1. Now remember, you have one problem where you're listing your possible roots, so you would just do the plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4. And then you have a second problem where you actually have to test them like we just did here. And then you would just somehow indicate that the actual rational root, if there is one, would be that particular number. Alright, so now looking at the 7 through 10, find the roots, and it's going to be find the, any additional roots for the polynomial equation. So for number 7, we are being given, and on the test you will be given a root 2. So given root 2, we want to find the other 2. So 2 is going to be on the outside, and then we have 1, negative 2, 5, and negative 10. So using synthetic division, we're going to find the other roots. So you bring down 1, 2 times 1 is 2, negative 2 and 2 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, bring down the 5, 2 times 5 is 10, negative 10 plus 10 is 0. You expect that to happen because 0, if you have a remainder of 0, then it is a factor. And then this is your quadratic linear constant. So we currently have x squared plus 5. You set this equal to 0 and solve for x. All right, so then x squared plus 5 equals 0. So you subtract 5 from both sides, and we have x squared equals negative 5. Take the square root of both sides, and x is plus or minus. Bring that negative square root, convert it to an I. That gives you I root 5. And that would be your answer. All right, now let's look at what we did from day 2, which was finding 2 additional roots. I'm going to do number 17. So looking at number 17, 2 plus 3i, it's 2 additional roots would be 2 minus 3i, and the additional root for 6i would be negative 6i. And then for number 14, you would have 4 plus square root of 6, and then negative square root of 3. Remember, you're only changing the sign of either the radical or the imaginary term. That's how you get your conjugate. Right? And then finally, I know, hallelujah, right? We are looking at the 19 through 24 section, and you have a question from this section. You are explicitly given at least 2 roots, and you have to find a third root. This up here tells you you are looking for a third degree polynomial. So if I have number 20, for example, I have negative 5, I have 1 minus I, and since I have this one, I have to have its conjugate as well. So then that would give you x minus a negative, or x plus 5, times the expression 1 minus, and remember we talked about if we put that in parentheses and distribute it, it would just give us the same thing. So 1 minus I, and then 1 minus 1 plus I. Now to keep life easier, multiply the 2 imaginary expressions together, and then simplify, and then you multiply it by the x plus 5. So with that said, I'm bringing this x plus 5 down. We have 1 times 1, which is 1. No, it's not. What was I thinking? Okay, we have to go back up, and then I'm going to change this 1 to an x. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm half asleep. I apologize. So then you have x times x, which is x squared. X times 1, negative x. X times I, which is ix. Then the next term, negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 1 times I is negative I. The third term, negative I times x, is negative ix. Negative I times negative 1 is positive I. Negative I times I is negative I squared. So now I need to simplify this whole big polynomial. Ix and negative ix cancel out. Negative I, positive I cancel out. Negative I squared is the same as negative 1. So that makes that plus 1. And we are left with x plus 5 times the expression x squared. Negative x makes that negative 2x. 1 and 1 makes that 2. Now I just need to distribute the x plus 5 to the x squared minus 2x plus 2, and we're done. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times negative 2x is negative 10x. And 5 times 2 is 10. Now I need to combine any like terms that I have and simplify, and then I'm done. All right, so then we have a single x cubed, negative 2x squared, and positive 5x squared is going to give us 3x squared. 2x minus 10x gives you negative 8x, and then you have plus 10. Alright guys, that's it for the review. I'm sorry that it went so long. Hopefully you're able to stop and pick and choose what you need to look for. Remember, if you need anything, just drop me an email, come by and see me. Have a good one.